conquer anything the job throws your way. Locally owned, Little Shavers Woodshop has a friendly, knowledgeable staff to get you in, out, and on with your day. Little Shavers Woodshop, 3301 Salisbury Highway in Statesville. Little Shavers Woodshop, LILshavers.com.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Probably better than me. Probably feeling better than me. I'm sad. I am. I've been sad all day, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to say. The New York Yankees, they have lost the World Series. I'm not happy. Can't say I am. We'll try to do a show today, I guess, in this pit of despair. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464 if you have something you want to talk about. Guess what? I'll be here. I don't know how much I'll actually be here mentally, but I will be here in the chair. Not standing today. It is definitely not a stand-up kind of day. But I'll be here for the next 52 minutes, trying to get through the day, get through life, knowing that the New York Yankees completely blew Game 5. That's going to be a big discussion with tonight's show. The MLB World Series coming to an end. As you probably know, if you've been listening to the program, the Dodgers and the Yankees were in the World Series. Dodgers go up 3-0. The Yankees win Game 4 to avoid the sweep. They have an incredible start to the game, putting up 5 runs in the first 3 innings. And they lost. We'll talk about the 5th inning. We'll talk about where to go from here. I just don't know what to say about it, honestly. It's depressing. Now, I normally don't show my personal fandom all that much on air. I try to be as unbiased as possible, but I do have teams that are my personal favorite teams that I grew up watching. The New York Yankees are one of them. Always a big Derek Jeter fan growing up. That was my era of the Yankees, was Derek Jeter. The 2009 World Series team, I believe I was 12 when they won that World Series. Thankfully, I got to see the New York Giants in my personal fandom win a couple of Super Bowls in my lifetime. Otherwise, it'd just be that. So we'll talk about the World Series, I guess, if we have to. I mean, it is important. It did happen. But I don't necessarily want to talk about it today. But we will, because this is a sports show. And one of the biggest games, the World Series, just concluded last night. So we'll talk about the World Series a little bit. We do have football tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I know, the NFL tonight. Thursday night football, it's the Houston Texans, 6-2, taking on the New York Jets, who are 2-6. I mean, not much of a game, really, if you think about it. Man, the poor Jets. What a horrible, horrible season that they ended up having here. We're coming up on the halfway point of the season. And they don't look good. With Aaron Rodgers there and all. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about some high school sports today. We're going to get into the soccer thing. We're getting close to playoffs in the soccer world. We've been doing a lot of volleyball talk recently, mostly because that's what's in the playoffs right now. We are into the regionals. So while football and soccer are still in the regular season, and we're actually coming up on the end of the regular season here, the volleyball season is actually almost completely over. So we're going to talk about soccer today, as most regular seasons have come to an end now. When you look at the calendar for North Carolina sports, men's soccer seeding is going to happen a week from now, and then the first soccer playoff match will be a little bit after that. So first round of the soccer playoffs are coming up on November 9th. We have the first round of football playoffs November 15th. So those two events are coming up shortly. Also, there's a lot of news in the world of sports with the end of the baseball season. We can now turn our attention to the NBA as well as the NHL, as there is some hockey stuff going on. We do want to make sure that you're updated on what's going on with the Carolina Hurricanes, who honestly, they haven't been all that bad to start the year. 8 games into the season. One of the teams that have fewer games played so far at this point of the season. But a 6-2 record so far, 6 wins, 2 losses, no losses in overtime yet for those Carolina Hurricanes. So we'll make sure to keep you updated. What's interesting about the Hurricanes, in those 8 games, they've only played 2 home games. Yeah, they're 5-1 on the road, 1-1 at home, which is where those 2 losses come from. But having a great season on the road, great start to the season on the road. So that's something that you should keep an eye on. I know we have to talk about Charlotte FC as well, but if you're looking for a team in the Carolinas to root for, those Hurricanes, man, we said it last year, I'll say it again this year, they are going to be a team to watch. Tomorrow, we have playoff soccer. And not only do we have playoff soccer for Charlotte FC, but it is playoff soccer in Charlotte. Yes, the game is in Bank of America Stadium. Now, Charlotte FC is down in the series 1-0. It's a best of 3, so the first team to win 2 games will move on to the next round of these playoffs. But for Charlotte FC, they will be taking on Orlando. That game is tomorrow. Kickoff around 7:30. So as you can see, one sport ends. That doesn't mean that we have to, slow down the coverage. There's still a lot going on. And don't forget, I didn't say anything about it, but NASCAR coming up this weekend as well. It is the final race of the 3rd round. There's 2 races remaining in the season. You go to Martinsville this weekend to set the Final 4 for the championship at Phoenix next weekend. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. We can do a lot of previewing on Martinsville because there's a lot of other things that we want to talk about today. But we do have to go to our first commercial break of the day. We're going to take a deep dive into the World Series. Not that I really care to, but we will do it when we return. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, spookishly warm for our Thursday and your Halloween around the lake. Plenty of sunshine. So climb up to 80, some low 80s on the way this afternoon. Just plan your costumes accordingly. It may be a little sweaty. And some of those this evening will drop into the low 70s and hover there through trick-or-treat time this evening. Into our Friday, upper 70s near 80 again, but tracking a cool down with highs in the 60s back by the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Serenity Now Massage Therapy.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts. The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Boatyard Eats in Cornelius presents live entertainment Friday and Saturday nights. 70s rock revival Troubadour Project takes the stage at 8:30 Friday night, while 80s tribute band The Breakfast Club headlines Saturday show along with DJ Wheels. Visit boatyardlkn.com for tickets, details, and show information. The 21st annual Statesville Pumpkin Festival is Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come join the community in historic downtown Statesville with 2 stages of live entertainment: the Classic Car Cruisin', Kid Zone, pumpkin activities, and vendors. The Statesville Pumpkin Festival is truly a fall festival for the entire family. Stick around at 5:30 p.m. for the after party with Uptown dueling pianos. For more information, visit statesvillepumpkinfest.com. We'll see you Saturday in downtown Statesville for the annual Pumpkin Festival. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals beginning on November 6th and continuing through the 9th. Catch Dirt Racing's top 3 series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages and camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated, the World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track in November. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back, Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Non-stop shop at Giant Crafts Market. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com, while supplies last.
A good soul isn't hard to find, especially if you're listening to WSIC on Tuesdays at 4.
Hello, and welcome to The Good Soul.
The Good Soul, hosted by Patty Alvarez, features real-world conversations that leave you feeling happy and rejuvenated. Who is this? This is 105.9 100.7.
WSIC. Local starts here.
It's The Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg, on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's The Scoreboard. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to do it. I promised you we would do it. I'm going to get through this. I will. That is hard for me, and I mentioned in the first segment. I normally, when I do The Scoreboard, I try to avoid putting my personal teams and like making bias towards them. I always try to be as unbiased as possible. But this one hurts, and we're going to talk about it today because it does. It hurts. The New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers playing in the World Series, game number 5 last night in New York. The Dodgers win the game. They win the World Series. Oh, that hurts to say. 7-6 is the final score. Okay, we all know what happened. If you watched, you know what happened. But I'm going to explain it for those of you who maybe weren't watching the game. The Yankees got out to a big lead, 3 runs in the first inning. You had Aaron Judge get off the schneid with a 2-run home run, and then Jazz Chisholm gets a home run. So it looked like the Yankees' big guns were showing back up. Things were looking positive going into this game. They get another run in the second, another run in the third to make it a 5-0 game early. And it was a Stanton home run that ended up making it 5-0. Well, we go to the 5th inning, and in the 5th inning, the Yankees take the field, top of the 5th, and it all fell apart. Not really sure how, but there's a few things that you can point to. Leadoff man gets on base for the Dodgers, which isn't a big deal. And then a line drive to center field right after that. The center fielder for the New York Yankees, as you may know, is Aaron Judge. Captain of the Yankees, superstar, hit those 62 home runs a couple of years ago. One of the best players in the league, one of the superstars of the league. And they said it on the broadcast. He can make this play 1,000 times and it would never happen. But on the 1,001st try, Aaron Judge drops a routine ground fly ball. Just drops it. Hits the tip of his glove and falls down. Not a big deal, right? First and second, no outs. It's still a 5-0 ball game. No big deal. Then you have a ground ball to shortstop. Anthony Volpe, 23 years old, supposed to be a very good prospect for the Yankees. Now, he didn't show all of his promise in these playoffs. He did have that moment in Game 4 where he hit the grand slam. But a ground ball to short, taking him towards third base. So he does the reasonable thing and throws it to third for the force out. Well, it looked like his feet weren't really under him and the ball wasn't in his hand correctly. And he short hops the throw to third, and Jazz Chisholm cannot pick it out of the dirt. Now, all of a sudden, the Yankees are dealing with a bases loaded, nobody out situation. As would happen, the Dodgers then score. There was a ground ball to first. Now we get to 2 outs. Okay, so the bases get loaded. You get a pop out, and you get a strikeout. You strike out Shohei Ohtani, too, which is huge. 2 outs, bases loaded, and Mookie Betts is at the plate. Well, he hits one off the end of the bat, and when he hit it off the end of the bat, the amount of spin that was on the ball, I don't want to say that Anthony Rizzo misplayed it because he made the play. He fielded the ground ball. But you could see when you look at the replay of that play, you could see the spin brought the ball back towards second base. So it looked like it was going to be down the line. Rizzo played it like that, and he overstepped it a little bit because the ball ends up on his right-hand side, and his momentum is no longer going towards first base. Well, before he fields the ball, Garrett Cole, the pitcher for the Yankees, notices that the momentum of Rizzo is taking him towards first base. So he does not go to cover first because he assumes that Anthony Rizzo is going to field the ground ball and his momentum is going to be taking him to the bag and he'll step on the base. Well, from what I saw, at the last second, the ball gets into the dirt and it cuts back towards second base a little bit. The momentum for Anthony Rizzo is no longer, it's no longer taking him right to the bag. And when he fields it, you can see, wait a second, his momentum is a little different here, and Garrett Cole is not at first base, and Mookie Betts, who has good speed, is sprinting down the first baseline. Well, the play at first was not close because of it. And after that, everything falls apart for the Yankees. Freddie Freeman on a 3-2 count hits a single right up the middle, scoring 2 runs. That made it a 5-3 game. And then a Teoscar Hernandez double ends up bringing in Mookie and Freddie as the Dodgers tied the game 5-5. And it was after that inning that I looked at it and saw some of the body language of the players for the Yankees, and I thought to myself, all right, it's over. They deserve to lose this one. 2 errors in the inning. 1 misplayed ground ball to first. And if you've ever played baseball, you know what a PFP is. Pitcher fielding practice and positioning. Yankees better work on that in the offseason if they're interested in improving, because that is the sole reason right there that these 5 runs come across the board. Now, the 2 errors before that were huge, but there was no runs that came across the board because of it, and there was no real momentum shift during those 2 errors because you get the next 2 outs once you load the bases. And it looks like, okay, Garrett Cole's going to work himself out of this situation, and the Yankees are going to be okay. They're going to get out of a bases-loaded jam without giving up a run. And that's not what happened. After the ground ball that wasn't covered, you can visibly see the body language of Garrett Cole shift. And at the end of the 5th inning, when he was in the stretch coming set, you can look at it and you could just see the frustration and the disappointment in his body. I'm not even talking about his face, just the body language of getting the sign and coming set and checking the runner. You could tell. Now, the Yankees ended up retaking the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning with a sacrifice fly. Now, the final 3 runs of this game were all scored on sacrifice flies. Pretty interesting stat for you there. Bottom of the 6th inning, Giancarlo Stanton hits what I thought was a home run. Off the bat, I thought it was a home run, but it goes to deep center field. Enrique Hernandez fields it. Juan Soto scores on the play, and Jazz Chisholm moved up to second. I mean, it wasn't a big deal that Chisholm had moved up to second, but he did. Then in the 8th inning, that is when everything falls apart for the Yankees. Bases get loaded again. Nobody out this time. Some fly balls to center field. First with Gavin Lux, the 9-hitter. Hits a sacrifice fly to center field. Aaron Judge makes the play. Can't throw him out at home because, well, it was hit so far that the play wasn't going to be close at home. So he throws it to third. The play wasn't close at third either. Tommy Edman was the runner. He's got some wheels as well. He moved up to third. The go-ahead run at that point is 90 feet away. Shohei Ohtani, out. Had a bad World Series. Not many people are going to speak on how bad of a World Series Shohei Ohtani had. I think he's getting a little bit of a hall pass because of the shoulder injury that he suffered in Game 3. But more people should be talking about how Ohtani didn't play well, but it doesn't matter because they won the game. Mookie Betts then comes up. He hits a rocket to deep center field. Aaron Judge goes back and makes the play. And you could see Mookie Betts, right as he hit it, he knew he was out, but he was pumping his fist because he knew all of a sudden in the top of the 8th inning, the Dodgers had come all the way back from a 5-0 deficit to take the lead in a clinching game in the top of the 8th inning. And from there was nothing the Yankees could do. Dodgers pitcher comes in, gets a save. It really wasn't entertaining, I'd say, to watch that game end because, well, once Walker Buehler came in, it was game over. And the Yankees had no chance against Buehler the same way they had no chance against him in Game 3. The starter, Walker Buehler, comes in for his first career save. He gets the save, and the LA Dodgers have won their 8th World Series title. Fun fact for you, of those 8 World Series titles, 4 of them came at the hands of the New York Yankees. We're going to move on from baseball when we return. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Scoreboard rolling on right after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, spookishly warm for our Thursday and your Halloween. Around the lake, plenty of sunshine. So climb up to 80, some low 80s on the way this afternoon. Just plan your costumes accordingly. It may be a little sweaty in some of those this evening. We'll drop into the low 70s and hover there through trick-or-treat time this evening. Into our Friday, upper 70s near 80 again, but tracking a cool down with highs in the 60s back by the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Drum Landscape Supply is the go-to spot for anything you need for your yard. Transform your landscaping. Drum Landscape Supply has trees, flowers, natural stone, custom blended grass seed, mulch, and more. Plus, they deliver. DrumLandscapeSupply.com.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
With 5 area locations, Desco is your go-to resource for electrical supplies. Albemarle, Mooresville, Salisbury, Statesville, and Lexington. No matter where the job takes you, you're sure to be close to a Desco. Shop now at DescoInc.com.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
This is Fred Lowry at Lowry Drug. We now have our own brand of full-spectrum hemp extract, also known as CBD oil. I personally managed this product as it was grown on my farm here in Iredell County. It was then processed and bottled here in Statesville. This is a true herbal extract with all the medicinal components intact. A product you can trust to be authentic. And since there is no wholesaler, it's at a price you can afford. Try it at Lowry Drug on Hartness Road in Statesville.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
If you have an upcoming event, let WSIC spread the word. Go to WSICnews.com and click on the Community Calendar button. WSIC, proud to be part of your community.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. As one of the best NFL coaches of all time, Bill Belichick has always been known for his ability to adjust. By staying alert during games, he's able to come up with game plans that put his team in a position for success. As followers of Jesus, we must remain alert, make adjustments, and be ready to respond well in any situation. 1 Corinthians 16:13 encourages us to be alert, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong. Colossians 4:2 tells us to devote yourselves to prayer with an alert mind and a thankful heart. Today, let's be encouraged to stay alert. As we pray and seek His help to empower us to make wise decisions, we can confidently adjust our plans to align with His. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Stocks are ending October on a sour note. They're down between 0.5% and 2.3%. Uber's ride bookings and forecast failed to impress Wall Street, so shares today are down close to 10%. That's the most in 2 years. The company's CEO says U.S. ride shares are down and higher insurance costs in the U.S. are being passed along to consumers. One of Uber's rivals, Waymo, that specializes in self-driving cars, has finished its latest round of financing, and it's now valued at $45 billion. Alphabet, that owns the company, and Google, was the biggest funder. OpenAI says it has overhauled ChatGPT to add new features to allow the chatbot to better search the web and provide answers based on the search. The company says its ChatGPT search will let users search for timely information much as they would on the web and get responses with inline attribution to news publishers and other data sources. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Scoreboard on this sad Thursday. It is a sad Thursday. (844-STUDIO-4). That's 844-788-3464 if you have something on your mind that you might want to talk about. I'm going to gather it up here. I promise I'm going to gather it up, and we're going to move on from the most disappointing baseball game that I have ever watched in my life, and we're going to get into high school sports because there's a lot going on in the high school scene. We've been talking over the past couple of weeks about volleyball playoffs, which are now already into the regionals. You got regional matchups coming up tomorrow, and then it's state championship games. So we're going to continue to talk about volleyball tomorrow. Now, I'm sorry, I do apologize. Those regional games take place tonight. State championship games on Saturday. So just keep that in mind. We've already gone over what the games are going to be for volleyball. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4A all taking place today with the regional games. Let's go ahead and really quickly go through those and just let you know who is playing on the west side of the state in these regionals for a chance to go to a state championship. The 1 seed Cherokee plays the 3 seed Polk County High School. That is the 1A matchup. In the 2A matchup, you have the 1 seed McMichael High School playing North Stanley, who is a 6 seed. 3A, it's West Henderson playing North Iredell. Within our listening area, the only team in our listening area still in the volleyball playoffs. And within the 4A, you have the 1 seed Marvin Ridge playing the 3 seed Reagan High School. Something that I find interesting as we go through these, in every single division of volleyball, 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A, we have a 1 seed coming out of the West, which I think is pretty interesting. You know, it's not always that you see the best teams continue to progress through a playoff, especially one that's as many rounds as high school playoffs are. But somebody has to win, right? Well, the 1 seed usually has the easiest route as they're playing lesser competition or competition that was not as good as them during the regular season. But we have all 1 seeds moving on in the western side of the state. So we will wrap those up tomorrow and let you know who is playing for a state championship. Besides that, we are going to also talk about football tomorrow as this regular season comes to an end. There are a lot of schools that are playing their last regular season football game tomorrow. Now, there's some that have another one the week after, but we're going to get into soccer today. Tomorrow, we'll do the volleyball and football updates for you. I want to start with Pine Lake High School, Pine Lake Prep down in Mooresville. They have finished their regular season with a game last night against Bradford Prep. Now, Bradford Prep, they have had a very good year, going 12-0 in the conference before that game. And with that game, Pine Lake actually came out victorious against Bradford Prep with a 2-0 victory, which avenged the 1-0 loss that they had to them earlier in the year. That game was back early October. Now, Pine Lake did not do enough to finish first in the conference, but that is a big win. Bradford Prep losing, not going undefeated in the conference. Also, it does not knock them out of the number 1 seed in the conference. So Bradford Prep wins the Catawba Shores Athletic 1/2A soccer soccer conference, and we got playoffs coming up in a few weeks. There's a lot of schools in our area who are going to be competing in the playoffs. Pine Lake is going to be one of them. Another school that will be competing in those playoffs is going to be Lake Norman High School. Lake Norman had a great year, winning their final 12 games of the season and only dropping 3 games in the entire year, one of them in overtime or I should say extra time for soccer, and 2 of them in regulation. Lake Norman did go 12-0 in the Greater Metro 4A Soccer Conference. Cox Mill High School was the next closest team to them, who went 9-2-1. So a 12-0 record for Lake Norman. Very impressive as they move to a conference championship there. They beat Mooresville High School in their most recent game, did Lake Norman. Now, I will say, Lake Norman, they haven't played in a while. Their last game of the season was a week ago, and they ended with a win. But with how long we're going to be waiting until the playoffs start for soccer, I wonder if they got some other things going on that may not be on the Max Prep schedule, but may actually be, exhibition games or something that is keeping them active, because you don't want to sit for so long that all of a sudden you lose your momentum and the team's not what it was while you were going through the good stretch. But Mooresville High School, the team that they played and beat in the final game of the regular season, had a pretty mediocre year. They were 4-6-2 in the conference, which was good for 4th in the Greater Metro 4A. But they went 11-8-3 in the regular season, which, that's not terrible. I don't know if they're going to be able to go to the playoffs, and they do have one game remaining on the schedule. It'll be against Ashboro High School. So a chance to get up to 12 wins, a 12-8-3 record versus 11-8-3. I don't know exactly how they're going to calculate playoffs off of that, but a winning record, you got a pretty good chance of making it in, even in a very stacked 4A conference. So that is what you have for Mooresville, who has one more game this year before they end the regular season. Another school that we want to talk about is North Iredell. We talked about the volleyball team going to the regionals. If they win, they get to play for a state championship. Well, the soccer team is not too shabby either. They went 14-4-3 so far in the regular season. Now, as far as I know, they don't have any more games remaining until we get to, the conference playoff and playoffs. But their final game of the year was last night against St. Stephen's, where they got the 2-1 victory on senior night. That win propped them up to a 9-3-2 conference record, which was good enough for 3rd in the Western Foothills 2A conference. We'll see where they end up being seated come playoff time. And a couple of schools that we at least want to shout out and mention, even though maybe they didn't have the best seasons. South Iredell High School, within our listening area, the football team having a good year. Not as much for the soccer team. 4-15-1 on the season. Their season is done. They ended with a 7-2 loss to Mooresville High School. And last but not least, I do want to shout out West Iredell High School. They went 7-16 on the year, 4-10 in the conference. They have one more game remaining. It'll be on the road against Starmount High School, but more for just a fun game to play, as it does not look like West Iredell will be making the playoffs in soccer. That is how your soccer scene looks as we get into the end of the regular season. We're going to go to our final commercial break of the day. When we come back, we'll start previewing some things in the NFL. We have a game tonight, and we'll talk about things in the news, and as always, this day in sports history. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment coming up. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Spookishly warm for our Thursday and your Halloween around the lake. Plenty of sunshine. So climb up to 80, some low 80s on the way this afternoon. Just plan your costumes accordingly. It may be a little sweaty in some of those this evening. We'll drop into the low 70s and hover there through trick-or-treat time this evening. Into our Friday, upper 70s near 80 again, but tracking a cool down with highs in the 60s back by the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Cakes and Yankees toys and gifts.
The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Boatyard Eats in Cornelius presents live entertainment Friday and Saturday nights. 70s rock revival Troubadour Project takes the stage at 8:30 Friday night, while 80s tribute band The Breakfast Club headlines Saturday show along with DJ Wheels. Visit boatyardlkn.com for tickets, details, and show information. The 21st annual Statesville Pumpkin Festival is Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come join the community in historic downtown Statesville with 2 stages of live entertainment: the Classic Car Cruisin', Kid Zone, pumpkin activities, and vendors. The Statesville Pumpkin Festival is truly a fall festival for the entire family. Stick around at 5:30 p.m. for the after party with Uptown dueling pianos. For more information, visit statesvillepumpkinfest.com. We'll see you Saturday in downtown Statesville for the annual Pumpkin Festival. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals beginning on November 6th and continuing through the 9th. Catch Dirt Racing's top 3 series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages and camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated, the World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track in November. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Non-stop shop at Giant Crafts Market. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville is known for the prices and selection, but I tell you what, you may not have known the distinction that this store received with Ford and Lincoln this year. We received the President's Award for 2023 for Ford for the 5th year in a row. We also received it for Lincoln for the 1st year, and I tell you, those awards don't come easily. It all boils down to taking care of the customers and having the vehicles you want in stock for you to buy.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Final segment here on the Scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. 844 Studio 4 if you have something you want to talk about. We only got about 10 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. So if there's something on your mind, you got a question for me, reach out. I'm here, and I'll talk to you. Bring you right on the air. We've covered a bit today. Spent some time talking about the Yankees and the Dodgers. Still not the happiest person in the world with how everything transpired last night. It's definitely one of the worst baseball games that I've ever watched. The best baseball game I've ever watched was 2016 Game 7 between the then Cleveland Indians and the Chicago Cubs, where the Cubs broke their 100, was it at that point? I think it was up to 108 years without winning the World Series. That was the best baseball game ever. The worst one may have been last night. It really, well, if you're a Dodger fan, then no, it wasn't the worst game ever. But for us Yankee fans, yeah, that was the worst game I've ever seen. Complete collapse by the Yankees. We're not gonna talk about it anymore. We got other things to worry about, including tonight, where we have Thursday night football. The Houston Texans taking on the New York Jets. As a reminder, which I do every single Thursday, if you want to watch Thursday night football, you need Amazon Prime. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is nowadays. I don't know how many people are going to buy Amazon Prime and go running to this game if they don't already have it. I mean, it's Houston and New York, and Thursday night games they're just not always the best, you know? But you have a team in Houston who is emerging as a contender this year, 6-2 so far this year. They got a 2-game lead in the AFC South over the Colts. I like this Houston team, but they did suffer a big injury last week as they lost Stephon Diggs for the year due to a ACL tear. The Jets, they're coming off of yet another loss. Second game that they'll be playing with Devontae Adams as a wide receiver for them. So let's see if this Adams-Rodgers connection can start cooking the way it was in Green Bay. But if you're the Jets, you really can't afford to lose anymore this year. And when you look at the Jets' schedule, man, it doesn't look promising. You got Houston tonight, which is a very tough game. The Cardinals, who have had a good year. The Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jaguars, Rams, Bills, and Dolphins. Now, there are some winnable games on there. The Dolphins games, I'm going to put question marks behind those because we don't really know how good that team is going to be now that Tua is back. And did you see him sliding on Sunday? Hey, how about that? Get down. But the Jets can't afford to lose very more football games here, especially with how competitive the AFC has been. I mean, who really looked at this season and said, yeah, you know, I think the Denver Broncos are going to be a viable team this year? I didn't. I did not think that they were going to be a viable team, but that is what we have. When you look at the playoff picture, which, yes, there is already a playoff picture, no teams have been eliminated just yet. There's a less than 1% chance that the Panthers make the playoffs. Yeah, you heard me correctly. They'd have to win out and go 10-7, but it's still possible. Right now, if the season were to end, here is how the AFC would shake out. You would have the Chiefs, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Bills as your 4 division winners, right? Then you have the Broncos at 5-3, the Ravens at 5-3, and the Chargers at 4-3 as the final teams in. And then you look at the Colts, who are 4-4, the Bengals, who are 3-5. Those are a couple of teams who you can't shy away from, especially the Bengals. The Dolphins at 2-5 are a question mark still to me. They could probably win a few games in a row and really not make a push, but make things interesting. But as far as other AFC teams that are going to be in the hunt here, you got the Colts and the Bengals and maybe the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins only have 2 wins on the year. Things are a lot more competitive right now in the NFC. If the season were to end today, you would have the Lions, Commanders, Falcons, and Cardinals as your division winners. Yeah, the Cardinals would be a division winner. Your wild card teams would be the Packers, Vikings, and Eagles. And then the first team out. How about this? The Chicago Bears at 4-3 would be the first team out of the playoffs. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 49ers, the Seahawks all sitting at 4-4. They're still in the hunt. You have the Rams, Cowboys at 3-4. They are also still in the hunt. So it's still open in the NFC. AFC is really starting to take shape. I want to see what happens with the Colts. I want to see what happens with the Bengals. But for the NFC, man, you got the Bears, the Bucks, the Niners, Seahawks, Rams, and Cowboys. Those are the teams that I would say are still in contention. Really, the Saints, Giants, and Panthers are the only ones that I would say are out. And they're not mathematically out, but when you look at what their path to the playoffs is, they might as well be out. Thursday night football later on tonight on Amazon Prime, the Houston Texans and the New York Jets will be in action. Hopefully no more disappointment for New York teams. Maybe they get a win today. Who knows? Who knows? There is a little bit of news that I wanted to get into here. The Big 12 did an investigation because it was revealed that the helmet communications between player and coach was unencrypted frequencies. And there were a few teams that said, hey, can we have an investigation here and see if there's any integrity that's being compromised of these games? Because if it's not encrypted, somebody can steal the communications and know the play. Well, the Big 12 determined that none of the games were compromised by those unencrypted frequencies during the season so far, which is pretty good if you look at this is the first year that they're allowing helmet communication between a player and coach in college. So it's a good thing that there's no issues with, and are the signs being stolen? We know all about stealing signs. Astros 2017. Also, did you see this? Patrick Mahomes met with the WNBA. He is looking to bring a team to Kansas City in the WNBA. I'm not surprised by that. I had a feeling after he signed that $500 million contract that he would eventually own a sports team. And what better way to have the city of Kansas City love you even more than bringing a WNBA franchise into the mix? And look, the WNBA is growing. You may not believe it. You may not want to believe that, but it is growing. You also have to consider Patrick Mahomes does own a piece of the Kansas City Royals and Sporting Kansas City, which is the MLS team. And you give a player that much money, he's going to invest it, I guess. That $500 million is at least going to good use. You're going to be hearing about Patrick Mahomes for a long time, especially if he brings an MLS, a WNBA team to Kansas City. So that's just some of the things that were in the news as of late. We're going to get into Hall of Fame stuff. Tom Coughlin, Mike Holmgren, Mike Shanahan, George Seifert among 9 semifinalists from the coaching category who were nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's coming up soon. Also in the NFL, the trade deadline is coming up pretty soon. The 2024 NFL trade deadline is one that you're going to want to watch. We've had a lot of trades as of late. Not something that I expected, but November 5th, coming up soon, all trades will end at 4 o'clock. So that is the trade deadline in the NFL. So a couple of things to keep an eye on. With the final minute that we have on the program today, let's go ahead and talk about some things that happened on this day in sports history. On this day, 2014, Greg Maddox, Tom Glavine, Frank Thomas, Bobby Cox, Tony La Russa, and Joe Torre were all inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame. That was on this day in 2014. Another thing that happened on this day in history, 1988. The first Monday night NFL game was played in Indianapolis as the Colts beat the Denver Broncos 55-23, the first ever Monday night football game. That's going to be all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow is Friday. I'll be back in studio hanging out with you as we get you prepared for the weekend. Until tomorrow, have a great night, everyone.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.